Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
You're listening to the Perk Up with Kim show. I am your host, KimO'Neill, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. On this show, I invite you to embrace all of who you are. Know that anything is possible for you as I talk with really awesome, inspiring guests about topics that allow you to step into a place of ease and flow, positively expanding your energy and tapping into your power. Grab your coffee or tea and come percolate with me. Welcome. You are listening to the Perk Up with Kim show, and I am your host, KimO'Neill. You can find out more about me by going to my website at KimO'NeillCoaching.com, and that's KimO'Neill Coaching.com. And today I am so excited to talk to our guest today. I know I usually do a bit of an intro before I get right to the guest, but I'm going to skip all that today because I want to really maximize our time. So today our guest is Suzanne Giesemann. And let me share with you just some of the really cool things about her. She is a retired U.S. Navy commander who now is an evidential medium, an evidence-based medium. She's a spiritual teacher, a metaphysical teacher. She's an author of 11 books on various topics. Her work has been recognized as highly credible by afterlife researcher Dr. Gary Schwartz and by best-selling author Dr. Wayne Dyer. And she has the gift of communication with those on the other side that brings stunning evidence of life after death, as well as validating her teaching about the purpose of life, the nature of reality, and attuning to higher consciousness. And you know, she's earned the Defense Distinguished Service Medal. She has a master's degree in National Security Affairs and has taught political science at the U.S. Navy U.S. Navy Academy. And it's all these things combined that I just find so intriguing and why I'm so excited to talk to Suzanne today. So with that said, Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim, and thanks for that introduction.
Absolutely. You know, I would like to, really get straight to the work that you do. And I would love to hear more about, how did you go from being, I know a little bit about your story, but for those listening in who may not know about you, would you be able to briefly tell us, how did you go from being, a Navy commander to being a medium?
Right. Well, for 20 years I served in the Navy and had no idea until after I retired from the Navy that I could communicate with those who've passed on. I had no idea there even was a greater reality, that there really was life after death. And I had no awareness of psychic abilities, so it's not like I'm what people call a born medium, seeing spirits my whole life and hiding this. There was nothing to hide. It was only after I retired from the Navy and I had the honor of serving as the aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on 9/11.
Wow.
And that was a very sobering, up-close and personal experience that started me on my spiritual journey. But at that time, I had no idea I would one day be doing this work.
Wow. Okay, you hit the core of one of my questions. So, okay, so now I know that I hope this is okay if I bring this up. I know that your stepdaughter had passed away.
Yeah, and that's just the whole reason I do this work, Kim. It's all in Susan's honor. Susan was a sergeant in the Marines, 27 years old, crossing the flight line at the squadron where she worked.
Wow.
And with a storm 10 miles away, a bolt of lightning struck her down. And she was 6 months pregnant at the time, so a double tragedy for our family. But we have took quite a while, but turned that tragedy into something beautiful because I dedicate all of my work to Susan. It's because I went to a medium trying to see, is this real? Is Susan still with us? And the evidence the medium gave me was so stunningly accurate. I knew in that moment that my whole belief system had to change, and has it ever.
Wow. And And what brought you to, because as you said, this wasn't something you really saw coming in your life. So what, I'm going to imagine it had something to do with the grief you felt over her passing that led you to even seek out a medium?
Oh, that's very accurate. It was a turning point for me to look at Susan's body in the coffin and to realize that you just couldn't kill her spirit. I mean, her body looked so different without the spirit in it that I knew that the spirit had to be a thing that couldn't be killed. And so that's why I took my husband, a retired destroyer captain, to see a medium. And it's only years later that I found out he went along, but he didn't even know what a medium was.
Wow.
And now he's married to one. That's the funny part.
Oh, well, so you had that experience. And so in that session with the medium, were you, I imagine you were able to connect with her?
Oh, it was amazing. I made sure that the medium didn't know my last name. I was very skeptical, but I wanted to believe, but I was not going to be hoodwinked if this woman was a fraud. And so she knew nothing about me, didn't know who we'd lost or why we'd come there. And in that reading, she brought through a young girl who had passed in her 20s rather suddenly. She said she had tingly electrical feelings all over her body, and Susan was struck by lightning. But let's see, she was wearing a brown uniform, like a Marine, and she stood in front of her father saying, "Daddy, Daddy." All that's fine, but the real clincher for me was when she said, "Oh, and this young woman is bringing with her a little baby boy who's standing back shyly sucking his thumb as if he doesn't know you, and she wants to introduce him to you."
Oh, wow.
Now, Susan was pregnant with a baby boy, and, how can you explain that, Kim?
Right.
Other than that, the woman was connecting with Susan's spirit.
Ooh. So at what point was it after that experience that you started to experience being a medium yourself?
It was about 2 years later, the week that Susan passed, I began meditating, thinking, okay, if her spirit really is still around, this is the way that I'm going to be able to tune into her. And so I never missed a day. I think in 10 years of meditating, I may have missed 5 days.
Wow.
And because I was an author and this reading with Susan changed my life so much, I decided to write books about mediumship, not knowing I would one day be a medium. So I wrote 2 biographies of very good evidence-based mediums, and in sitting through the class of one of them, she called me to the front of the room and said, "You can do this too. What do you sense?" And that was the turning point, because I brought through pieces of data about the father of one of my fellow classmates, including his nickname, Twinkle Toes. And I began saying, how did I know that? Where did that come from? How is that possible?
Wow.
And that was the start of a journey that has just been this incredible fast track upward and no turning back.
Oh, my goodness. Let's talk more about that. So when you are, I tend to use the word channeling. Do you identify with that?
Well, I do channel. I channel my guides who have asked me to call them Sanaya.
Okay.
That's direct speaking for them. But in a reading, that's not exactly channeling.
Okay.
That is just connecting. It's two-way communication with those in spirit, and I'm passing on their words in my third person.
I see. Okay. Okay. So when you're wow. So I didn't know that they were different.
When I'm connecting with a loved one who has passed, it's very different from going to a deeper meditative state and allowing my guides to speak directly through me. That's channeling.
Okay.
Although I'll tell you that in some readings when the connection is really good, I'll actually channel the voice of the loved one on the other side. The other day I did a reading for somebody who had lost a son, and her other daughter was there, and she said, "My God, it's like he's talking directly to her through you." And I said, "He is. This is what you need to understand. He's right here." It was stunning.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I totally want to ask you more questions about channeling, but I want to I don't want to deviate from the thread that we're on right now. So let me ask you, when you are connecting with people who have passed over, when you're connecting with them, what is that experience like for you? Do you feel things differently? Is it just a knowing, or what is that like?
It is definitely different, because if they're not here, I can tell the difference. There have been, very few instances where I'll say, "I'm sorry, there's just nothing here." because it's a noticeable difference. I feel a presence. I get lightheaded. The really stunning thing, Kim, is when I feel the physical symptoms in my own body of how somebody passed. And it's unmistakable. Oh, I have a pain in my kidney. They had a kidney problem. Yes, they did. Oh, my heart is palpitating. This person passed from a heart attack. Yes, they did. One man gave me a piercing pain in my eyeball and said, this affected me my whole life. And his wife confirmed that at age 14 he was shot in the eye by a BB and blinded for life.
Oh, wow.
That's what evidence-based medium means, because you can't deny that. It's not something that you make up. It's not what some people would call airy-fairy messages, that anybody could make up. This is undeniable evidence that these people who have passed are still right here.
Okay, and I love that you said that. Still right here. So I know some people have this notion that when someone crosses over, if we keep talking to them, then it's almost as if we're trapping them here. I don't quite agree with that, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that?
I'm glad you don't agree with that, because you would be denying a lot of spirits the pleasure of hearing their loved ones acknowledge that they know they're there. Many times we speak to our loved ones with hope that we're not just talking into the air, and I can assure you, they hear. One of the things I ask the spirits to give me in every single reading that I do is, tell me something going on in your loved one's life now, so that they can know that you're still with them. And it's just such a delight when I'll say, your loved one's showing me you're doing this now. And they say, how do you know that? I just did that. And I'll say, because they want you.
Oh, no. Oh, Suzanne?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Just heard a couple buttons push. Okay, now that you bring that up, so if they can see us that frequently, okay, I'm going to ask a question that might sound really silly, but I can't be the only person who's ever had this question, so I'm going to ask it anyway. So, what if, I feel silly asking, but I'm going to say this anyway. So, when we're going to the bathroom or when we're taking a shower, tell me about
Okay. This is a great question, Kim, and the thing is, you are thinking like a human being. And when you get to the spirit world, you're not a human being anymore. You're total soul, the soul that all of us are now. And so all these things, these hang-ups that we humans have about our body no longer exist. All that matters is love. And we totally understand as souls what the humans are going through. So I just tell people, we just need to get over it. They're not going to be sitting there staring at you. They'll give you your privacy. But those things aren't even of any importance to the soul.
Awesome. Thank you for affirming that. Okay. So, where to next from here? So now, okay. So I've looked at some of your videos and some of the other things you've done, and I know that you talk about Christ consciousness. And here's a question that I have, because I don't know if you know this about me. While I do coaching and I do energy work as well, I also work at a police department, and I'm around a lot of law enforcement, paramilitary energy, and I've noticed with a lot of my coworkers, I consider myself very spiritual. I've noticed a lot of my coworkers, for them, it tends to be more about being religious and whatever religion, they choose. And I'm curious, how do you, actually, here's the thing. I don't really have the question formulated, but I'm wondering if there's, as you became a medium and you came from this background of being in the military now to doing something that might be perceived as drastically different, how has religion and spirituality evolved and been part of that for you?
It's a great question, Tim. I see the perfection in my military background, especially serving at the absolute highest level of the U.S. military. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs is the number one military officer in charge of the whole military, and I was his right-hand aide. That gives credibility to this work, so people want to listen. And then the second part is, I was raised with no religion at all. Oh. My parents never took us to church. They had no beliefs. It was almost like we don't talk about that in our family. So I had nothing to undo. Everything that I've learned has come from going within in the silence and from my guides talking to me and then leading me to certain books. So I call myself multi-denominational now. Nice. And it's just the freest way to live because I have no fears. I have no baggage to overcome. So my spirituality is just from the personal experience of knowing this interconnectedness that all of us have at the level of the soul. When you get out of this we're only human mindset and this separateness that the body gives us this illusion of, then we just become all of us, these lights, or as my guides have told me, picture yourselves like leaves on one tree that all have the same source. And, do other leaves look at each other and say, well, I don't like your belief system or you're different from me? No, we just know we're all part of the same source. So this kind of analogy of our oneness, that's what Christ consciousness is. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It has to do with knowing our oneness, our unity. A Christ is one who knows they're one with everything and all that is. And that is just the most beautiful way to live. There's no judgment, and it allows people to believe what they believe without judging them either.
Oh, I love it. I imagine that as you were going through this experience of healing from Susan's passing and recognizing in yourself that you have the ability to connect with those on the other side, I recognize that I imagine that was just a really strong calling that really guided the rest.
Well,
go ahead.
Absolutely. Calling is a good word, Kim, because once we had that reading, as I mentioned, my entire worldview changed. I realized that death really is just the transition, that we don't lose people. They're still with us. We lose the physical presence, but their love is as strong as ever, and we will see them again. It was so life-changing, so healing, that it did become my mission then to help other people find that kind of comfort. My biggest frustration these days is that I can't help everyone. The readings have become so evidence-based, so healing, that I have a waiting list that it seems unending. And I can't help everyone, and that's why I've turned to teaching and other ways of getting these messages out to more people, because don't we all need a little healing?
Yeah. So when you started coming out, sharing your gift with people, especially those who maybe you'd worked with in the Navy, and was there... what was that like? How did they receive you as you started to share that side of yourself?
It's really been such a blessing that almost everyone, 99.9%, have been so enthusiastic and positive because they know me.
Okay.
And they know that, my background, my ethics, that I'm an honest person, and they all, most people, if they admit it, they want to know there's more.
Yeah.
We don't want to think that the curtain comes down and that's it. Our life, we want our life to have purpose. And I can tell them this is more than wishful thinking. It's true. Life goes on. And so they receive it with such enthusiasm, with excitement, and tell me more type of attitude. The one person who has not been open to it is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. When I asked him if I could use part of our story as in some images in a video, there's a documentary made about my story, and he did not want to be part of it because his religious bringing up, his background, was not part of this. And so it's really interesting that this is somebody that I stood up to and just very nicely said, I respect that, sir, but I must tell you this is very real, and it doesn't matter if he didn't accept it or not. It's lovely not to feel the need to change people's minds.
I love that. Yeah, not to feel the need to change people's minds. Well, that's great. That's great that so many people were, for the most part, open to, supporting you, it sounds like.
Yeah, in this journey, the documentary, the Messages of Hope documentary, we recreated a scene with the senior enlisted aide to the chairman when I was the senior officer aide, and he said, we were sitting in a restaurant, and I came out, as you put it, and told him I was now working as a medium, and it's such a funny scene in the documentary where he says, if it were anybody but you, I'd be asking for the check right now.
So when we think about, people who are grieving because someone's crossed over, whether they consider themselves spiritual, religious, whatever it is, I know some people, well, let me say this. Some of the people in my life who I've noticed have, been grieving over someone who's crossed over, a lot of times I found myself encouraging them to, talk to that person, try to connect with them, and because I know how healing that's been for me in my life. My dad was retired from the Marines, and when he crossed over, it was very unexpected. And I was actually so angry at the time. Oh, and I have to get ready to go to a break. But I was so angry at the time that I just was like, that's it. There's no other choice. I'm talking to him, and we're going to heal together. And we did. And so I actually want to ask you about that, but we need to go to a break. So,
okay.
So thank you for just being here with me on this, going with the flow. So we're going to take a break. For all those listening, thank you for being here. Stay right there. We will be right back. No matter how your life looks today, your possibilities are endless. You deserve all the joy, peace, and excitement in life that you desire. Life doesn't come with a manual, and that's why personal coaching is so awesome. Moving forward is easier. Creating a new reality for yourself, healing your mind and body, it's all possible. Visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com today to learn more and schedule your free consultation.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now, this same technology is available to you. They have the best earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. earthchannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things, like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget, web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now, so come to earthchannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 800-849-8978. That's 800-849-8978.
Right now, I know you're in the middle of a break during my show, the Perk Up with Kim show, and I'm so glad you could join us today. Are you having fun, maybe feeling inspired, a little rejuvenated? Reassured that it's all going to be okay, because you are super strong and can get through and accomplish anything. I know this. Sign up at KimO'NeillCoaching.com/contact to make sure you always know when the next show is going to air. And hey, if no one's told you yet today, you're doing a great job. Okay, I gotta go. Show's about to start back up.
Attention Kmart shoppers. Now you get Kmart on HealthyLife.net. Kmart carries over 70,000 items like Martha Stewart's Everyday Products, apparel by Jacqueline Smith, Joe Boxer, Route 66, appliances, jewelry, and more. Everything you need. Plus, you'll get exciting weekly promotions. Go to HealthyLife.net's homepage and click on Kmart, and then you're there. And you even avoided the crowds.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to the Perk Up with Kim show, and I am speaking today with Suzanne Giesemann, who is a retired U.S. Naval commander who now is an evidential medium. Such cool stuff. So before the break, we were talking about grief, and I had shared some of my own experiences of when I was in the process of healing after my dad had passed away. And Suzanne, what I would like to ask you is, what tips do you have for people who are trying to heal after a loved one has passed on?
Well, Kim, the very first thing we want to be assured of is that our loved ones aren't gone forever and that we'll see them again. So I would recommend they do exactly what I did after Susan passed, and that's get a few books about the afterlife. Try to get some by people that you trust, that are credible, and start reading about the afterlife. We don't focus enough on death when we're still here, but suddenly it's in our face. We're dealing with grief, and you will be led just to what you need to read. People have read my book, Messages of Hope, and so many people pass it on to others who are grieving the loss of a loved one because it does exactly what the title intends it to do. It gives people hope. And through that, you can follow what I did in learning to meditate and sit in the silence and learn to make that connection yourself with your loved ones. That is life-changing. Susan has come to me many times. She helps me in my readings now. And I want to encourage your listeners to, when they sense their loved one's presence, ask them for a sign. Ask them for things they couldn't know about somebody else in the family to validate they really are tuning into them. Mm-hmm. And their whole path, their whole life's path may change as a result of these efforts.
Ooh, you know, I know when my dad passed over, and there was this one time where I was sitting in my bedroom, I had my eyes closed, and I was just thinking about him, and all of a sudden I got this message, you know, I love you, kiddo, and it was just, I don't know, to me that was my proof that, oh my goodness, I've actually connected with him, because it wasn't a thought, it was a message I received.
Yes.
And
nice.
Yeah, it was the only time I've really experienced that. But anyway, so meditation. It sounds like meditation is helpful. Okay.
And I have several free meditations on my website, and people love the energy in them. And you were talking earlier about channeling. I just produced a professional in a studio with a man who channeled music. I channeled Sanaya, and we produced this CD called Journey of Remembrance. And people say it's bringing them to tears, giving them amazing experiences. Without being an experienced meditator, it takes you on an experience to get to know your soul and who you really are, really providing an awakening for people. So I'm so honored to be given these tools to help people do this themselves.
Absolutely. What role do you see intuition playing in all of this?
Well, the intuition is how the soul truly communicates with you. Even if you haven't yet developed the eyes of the soul, the ears of the soul, those other psychic abilities, the intuition is always there, always ready to be turned up once we recognize that it is one of those greatest tools we have for getting inner guidance.
What tips, and maybe this goes right back to meditation, but what tips do you have for learning how to hear our intuition more clearly and trust what it's telling us?
Well, it's tuning into the body, Kim. The body is like a barometer. People want to make decisions, and it's very simple. You just ask a question, should I be doing this, or should I go down this route? And then you tune into your body. And if there's any clenching in the stomach or in the chest area, that's a very clear no. It's how the intuition speaks through the body. Then you ask the question again, well, what if I take this route, or should I do that? And if it just feels clear and light, no clenching, that's a yes. So then you act on that. You just trust that is a valid yes or no. And you go ahead with whatever answer you got. And when it turns out well, that just adds to the trust. And you do this over and over and over, following those nudges, following those hunches, and you learn to trust the intuition intimately.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, learning to understand what my body's been telling me has been a journey, and a really kind of exciting one, actually, because the more that I tune into my body, just things that I never, I just never knew that was a source of information for me.
Oh, yeah, and goosebumps. I mean, that is one of the greatest signs your body can give you to listen. I call them truth shivers. When you just break out in goosebumps, when somebody says something or you see a sign, an answer to a question you ask, you can just imagine the voice in your head saying, this is truth.
Ooh. You know, one thing I've noticed that's helped me, I just would like to share with those listening, is for getting in touch with my own body, I've noticed it really helps me to ground myself first. And so by grounding my energy, then it's not like I'm a floating, body in the world. When I'm grounded, then I'm more able to feel and sense, okay, where am I feeling this emotion in my body? And I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, on grounding?
Well, it's interesting. We would think that if we want to connect with higher consciousness, we'd want to get less grounded. But somebody once taught me that if you want to jump higher and you jump into a swimming pool, it's much easier to bounce off the bottom of the pool, and then you can bounce higher. So it's connecting the physical body with the awareness of yourself as a soul that gives you that greater connection. So excellent advice to get grounded first.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? I love what you just shared about something to bounce off of, because I've had that thought too. I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? I'm wanting to, connect with, my higher self, and yet I'm connecting myself to the ground first. But for me, actually, what I've started to do as part of my grounding exercise is I ground to the earth, but then I also open and connect with my higher self, and sort of I get that energy flowing throughout me, and just try to feel, completely connected that way. And then I go, okay, now let's go to my physical body and what's going on. So, oh, wonderful.
Well, that's why in a reading, even though I try to expand my consciousness, my awareness as much as possible to tune into whatever is going on in the spirit world, those in spirit will use my body, like I said, for physical sensations or it's very important to be aware of what's going on around me as well.
So, I know some people who, and here we are, we're getting ready for another break. So let's see, I'll try to give the gist of what I'm asking, and then we'll come back to it after the break. But I know a good handful of people who they've got that direct connection to spirits on the other side, their higher self, their intuition, maybe even seeing, orbs and other energy. And it's been very scary for them. And for me personally, I'm continuing to develop and grow that within myself, and I find it so exciting. I want more and more, and it's interesting to see other people who are very scared of it, but I can understand that would be scary. And so when we come back to the break, I would love to ask you, what tips might you have for people who are resisting that energy, and we'll go from there. So we're going to take a break. Stay right there. You can find out more about Suzanne Giesemann on her website at SuzanneGiesemann.com, and we'll be right back. Sometimes we wish we could practically do nothing and still feel better. Guess what? You kind of can. When you schedule a Reiki or guided meditation session, you can just be and receive and allow the energy to shift. There's relief. These energy sessions can be done alone or combined with a coaching session. Find out more at KimO'NeillCoaching.com and click on the Energy Work tab.
Get your moto going at the Motorola store online. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page, click on Motorola, and you'll discover a whole new world of phones. Plus, you can get great deals on phones, with or without contract. That's great, Moto. And don't forget, they even have Bluetooth and other phone accessories. But that's not all. Want more Moto? Motorola has home and office phones and two-way radios. And for the best Moto ever, Motorola has great specials right online. Go to the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on the Motorola banner now and get your moto going.
Yes! You did it! You got the job interview! Now all you need to do is prepare. You aren't sure how or what to say? Guess what? We can do this together then. One of my specialties is helping you to know how to present your best self for an employment interview. We'll practice, you'll feel confident. You got this. Visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com or call 562-273-2546.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to the Perk Up with Kim show, and I'm talking with Suzanne Giesemann, who is an evidential medium. And Suzanne, before the break, I was asking you about, for those people who may already have that connection, but there's to connecting with loved ones on the other side, maybe even channeling. maybe they see, spirits or orbs, things of that nature, and it scares them. I know no one has to connect with that energy if they don't want to, but for those who, I don't know, maybe it would serve them to actually develop that ability, or maybe there's a part of them that wants to, but the fear is greater than the part of them that wants to. Do you have any tips or anything that might support someone?
Having visited the spirit world daily for years now, I know that we are souls born of the most loving environment. We are love incarnated. We come from the light. We are the light. And so when we have fear surrounding anything to do with the light, that comes from our belief systems. And I made a funny video. I have these videos called the Good Vibe videos, but I said, what is the acronym for belief system? BS.
Ooh, I love it.
It just gets in the way, and we need to examine that and say, there is a loving universe here that is trying to get your attention. So where do these fears come from? Things that people told you, scary movies you watched, horror movies and books that you read. So if you just hold in your mind that we're part of a loving universe, that you're always protected, that becomes your reality. Am I saying that evil doesn't exist? Am I saying that lower vibrations are not out there? I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that those are creations of fear-filled consciousness. But if you just say, all right, I know I'm the light and I am fully protected, and that is your reality, then that becomes your reality.
Oh, I love that.
I don't want people to miss out on these incredible miracles that can happen every day. A miracle being the connection of the spirit world with our world for service to the greater good, for the growth of our soul, and the BS gets in the way, the belief system.
Was there any part of you that was afraid of this evolution that you were, or this transformation that you were going through, of being able to?
No, not at all,
Okay.
because it has been such a gift from day one. It has always been surrounded by love. Growth has been the result of all of it. I've known that I've been guided every step of the way, and I just put myself out there and say, show me how I may serve. And it's like I have this cadre of angels around me that are just going to make sure that we serve, and it's just been miraculous.
Well, let me ask you now about channeling, which earlier you, I love that you were able to make the distinction that channeling is separate from, or not quite the same as connecting to a spirit on the other side. What does channeling feel like in your body for you?
Well, I've never used drugs, but I know it must be what it's like to be high.
Wow.
Because when I come out of that expanded state of awareness, whoa, I'm not safe to operate a car or anything.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just so blissful, but it's also amazing to hear at a very light conscious awareness, hear these voices coming through me in a different accent, have people ask questions of my group, Sanaya, and hear the answers immediately come out in words and at a level of wisdom that could never come out of the one known as Suzanne. And it's life-changing. And, in fact, there are many transcripts and audio recordings of sessions with Sanaya on my website, including right on the homepage, a download that Sanaya gave me about what life is like after we die. And I just invite your listeners to feel the energy in those words as they read it. It's in a little purple block on the website, an e-book that's free called Awakening. Oh, by the way, an easier way to get to my website is to type out loveatthecenter.com.
Oh.
If you can't spell my name, it gets you to the same place.
Loveatthecenter.com. Okay, got it.
Yeah. But the channeling, they say that words hold the energy of the source, and you can just feel the higher energy. And even in the audio transcripts, there's something about this group of guides that I bring through that really touches people at a soul level.
And so the guides that you're bringing through, I have developed the belief that the guides are not necessarily, well, you know what, I guess I have a question in my mind too. So do these guides, and I am familiar with Esther Hicks and how she channels Abraham, so I've got that, awareness as well, but what are your thoughts? Do these guides, are they an energy that has incarnated here in a human body before, or no?
I believe that some of them are and some of them are not. They told me that they are a collective consciousness of guides, and some are some pretty higher ups, so they're probably what you would call angels and masters. Others are my personal guides that help me in readings. It sounds crazy to me to talk about things like this when I think about my role as the Navy commander, but I can't deny the healing effect. People have attended sessions where I've channeled Sanaya for a large group of people. There was one lady that said, I came into this session with facial paralysis that I've had for 35 years, and it's gone.
Oh, my goodness.
It disappeared during the session. It's stunning, and that's why I continue to do this work, for the healing of mind, body, and spirit of people.
Well, I love that you're sharing your work with people, and what I love, I mean, if it's not obvious, I love the contrast of how you came from, a military background to what you do today, of being very spiritual and connected in that way. And I think it's very powerful for a lot of people today to hear stories like yours, because I know my own experience, and I know many other people, we have a tendency to get caught up in our head, and we think that we have to figure everything out through our head and know things and strategize and all of that. And the most important part of my journey, becoming a coach and doing the energy work that I do, has not been about figuring it out in my head. It's been all about connecting to my heart. And the more that I connect to my heart, then the more spiritually connected I am as well. And it's that stuff that informs the stuff that then, that I think, and that I can strategize and put puzzle pieces together and all that. And so I love that you are able to, be a source of inspiration and guidance for others who may be on that same journey and struggling with, feeling like it's wrong somehow to find this deeper connection.
I was laughing as you were talking, because you're talking about balancing the heart and head, and that is the main message of my book called Wolf's Message, that people they read it, and it's life-changing, because it's the story of one soul, one family member on the other side that came back to me with amazing evidence that was graded and scored by afterlife researcher Dr. Gary Schwartz and shown to be highly, highly accurate and evidential. But this young man came back with a message for all of us about the need to get out of the head and into the heart to find balance.
I love it.
Whose soul knew before he died what would happen to him. It's quite the story.
Well, we are going to take our last break, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up with Suzanne Giesemann. And again, if you want to find out more about her, you can also go to her website at loveatthecenter.com. And we'll be right back. No matter how your life looks today, your possibilities are endless. You deserve all the joy, peace, and excitement in life that you desire. Life doesn't come with a manual, and that's why personal coaching is so awesome. Moving forward is easier. Creating a new reality for yourself, healing your mind and body, it's all possible. Visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com today to learn more and schedule your free consultation.
These shoes are made for walking, jumping, running, and just plain style. Over 32,000 styles. Skechers, an award-winning global leader in lifestyle footwear. And now you can get Skechers without walking, jumping, or running. You can get them by clicking. Scroll down HealthyLife.net's homepage and click. You can check out Skechers, high-quality shoes in styles for men, women, and children. So get in style. Get Skechers today and start walking, running, jumping, and strutting in style.
Right now, I know you're in the middle of a break during my show, the Perk Up with Kim show, and I'm so glad you could join us today. Are you having fun, maybe feeling inspired, a little rejuvenated, reassured that it's all going to be okay, because you are super strong and can get through and accomplish anything. I know this. Sign up at KimO'Neill.coaching.com/contact to make sure you always know when the next show is going to air. And hey, if no one's told you yet today, you're doing a great job. Okay, I gotta go. Show's about to start back up.
If you like to spend your television viewing time learning about some of the things that you may have missed in history class, or if history was your favorite subject, then you should check out the link to the History Channel on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page. Order DVD sets by series or by subject matter right from our homepage while you still enjoy your favorite HealthyLife.net show.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
Welcome back. You're listening to Perk Up with Kim, and I'm talking to Suzanne Giesemann. And Suzanne, let me ask you, will you tell us about drop-ins?
Drop-ins, that's the term that I use for spirit family members who have passed, who just show up in my living room, sometimes in my bed, my husband's chagrin, when I'm not expecting them. And this is something I've actually been asking my team for, because there's nothing like the evidence of hearing from a loved one when there's no family member nearby to validate it. Nobody can say I'm reading their body language or reading their mind. And it's been happening more and more, and it's just so much fun for me to call up and say, oh, by the way, your son dropped in on me today, and he wants to tell you about that ribbon that you just bought for your hair. And the mother will say, oh, my God, how do you know that? So it's, you know, everybody says, do you watch the Long Island Medium? And I don't have time for TV. My life is crazy with this work. I've never even seen her, but I know that she has drop-ins all the time. And so I had been asking for that, not just when I'm doing readings, but to have the spirit stop in. And they've been doing it with amazing evidence that adds so much more fun to this work.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh.
Let me just give you the coolest example recently was the son of someone I'd done a reading for already. He just showed up when I was reading in bed, and he talked about a couple things, including the tooth fairy. And I thought, this guy was 27 years old. Why is he talking about the tooth fairy? I emailed this to his mother right away. She couldn't believe it. 2 days earlier, she had sent a text to her two daughters talking about finding their baby teeth and the tooth fairy. She sent me a copy of the text. Now, that's evidence of our loved ones knowing what's going on in our lives. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what proof do you have about our souls? I'm going to let you, that our souls exist and
Oh, well, I tell people that you don't become angels when you cross to the other side. You don't just naturally become spiritual and angelic. We're here to grow our angel wings while we're here. And we do that because we are souls here and now. I mentioned Wolf in my book, Wolf's Message. He left proof that the soul is aware and is part of us here and now. We can't separate the soul and the human. But I had the opportunity to tune into the soul of a woman in a coma. Her friends asked me to see if I could communicate with her. And I thought, well, how am I going to prove that? And I thought, well, why would it be any different than doing a reading? I'll ask her to tell me evidence about her life, about her, that I couldn't possibly know. The friends told me nothing.
Okay.
And it was stunning. I absolutely felt the presence of her soul, even though she was in a hospital 1,000 miles away. And she told me things going on in the hospital. She showed me red hair near her in the hospital. Her mother had taped a picture of her in a red wig over her bed, even though she was an African-American woman. She told me how her coma came about. She told me specific things about the people standing around her in a circle. It was stunning evidence that we are souls, and it doesn't matter if the body is there or not. We can communicate soul to soul.
Wow.
And you know what was really the most awesome thing to come out of that reading, Kim, was the friends wanted me to do that reading because they wanted to honor her wishes. And I didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I knew they wanted me to find out if she wanted them to pull the plug. Oh. But once I got the evidence from her, I had the nerve to ask her, well, what would you like them to do? And her answer was so stunning. She said, they can pull the plug if they want. If it's my time, I'll go. If it's not, I'll stay.
Oh.
And, you know, we have doctors go to heroic measures. We try everything to save somebody. But that's the bottom line. We're not in charge. The soul is, and the great spirit is. And if it's our time, we'll go. I think that can bring people a lot of peace, knowing that things really are in order. We just may not have the big picture.
Oh, I love that. Wow. Yeah, and that just shows how powerful our individual energy is.
Oh, yeah.
No one else is controlling.
We are the light.
Yeah.
We are the light. And when we learn to turn that up from within, our lives are transformed.
I love it. Okay. I had another question here for you, and I sort of lost it. You mentioned earlier that when you are channeling, that when you can hear their voices in whatever accent that person or that energy is speaking with, is it like an audible voice that you hear, or?
Oh, it's Sanaya who speaks with an accent, and it's not an identifiable one. It's only so that I recognize these are not my thoughts. This is coming from the team with a capital T. When I have not met somebody before, their voices, their words from the other side come through sounding exactly like my own thoughts, which is what made it very challenging in the beginning to determine the difference between my own thoughts and those on the other side. But when my Susan comes to me quite often now, I hear her voice. Exactly like she spoke, so that's a thrill.
And is there ever a time that you are trying to connect with someone on the other side and they don't come through?
Very rarely, but it does happen. I had somebody, a mother, grieving deeply the loss of her son. She emailed me and she said, I went to another medium and she told me she can't connect with my son because he's in purgatory. Oh my goodness. That just... I know how the spirit world works. Purgatory is not part of my belief system. And so I said, let me try. And it's not that I'm any better than anybody else. We're all just different radio transceivers. We all have a different antenna.
Right.
I just said, let me try, because I wanted that mother to know that I think that medium is wrong. And I got her son with so much evidence. There was no doubt he was there. And so now I'm teaching mediums. I'm teaching a class, I call it Serving Spirit, to help raise the bar so that people don't say things that are harmful to others. That was very painful to the mother. If we don't connect with someone, well, maybe we just don't know why. But let's not put it on that spirit, or let's not put it on the client to say, oh, it's because of your energy. We may not know, but happily it doesn't happen too often, Kim.
Right. Oh, that's exciting that you're teaching other mediums. I have some friends who I think would love to know more about that.
Yeah, the schedule's on my website. But, the reason I do this work, like I said, when we lost our Susan, it was the worst possible tragedy you could imagine. But we've turned it now into something that's so healing for people. My husband helps me at the events and workshops that I do, and he's lost track of the number of people that have come up to him and said that my reading with your wife changed my life. It saved my life. Saved my life, because they're just spiraling downward after the grief.
Right.
And, it's such an honor.
Wow. Well, Suzanne, it's been wonderful having you on today's show. What's the best way for people to contact you? I know I've given out your website.
Yep.
Those are good?
It's through the website. There's a contact page. But if anybody's going to ask for a reading, I really ask that they read the information there, and I've had to resort to a request system because I can't keep up with the requests, and I am referring some people. Happily, I do know other evidence-based mediums, because that's the problem. That's why I'm training mediums,
Okay.
To give a man a fish or teach a man to fish.
Right.
My guides, Sanaya, help me prioritize and pick out the ones that I'm supposed to do.
Nice.
But lots of goodies on the website, a lot of
okay.
tools and things to help people on their own journey.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we're coming to the end of the show, and so, again, Suzanne's websites, you can go to SuzanneGiesemann.com, and Giesemann is Giesemann, or her other site, loveatthecenter.com, and I actually just want to quote a couple of things that Suzanne gave us earlier. The loving universe is trying to get your attention. I think that is so key. And when we start to allow ourselves to open up to that, it's really can be exciting and sort of fun to realize that we're not alone. We are not alone here. And it's just a matter of us saying, yes, I'm ready, or, I want to be open. I want to see what else exists for me, because we're all more than just our physical bodies. And lastly, Suzanne said, belief system equals BS. And I love that. So
if it holds you back from getting to know your true self, because certainly I have a strong belief system about the afterlife, but it's the ones that are filled with fear, Kim. That's what we have to clear out.
Absolutely. Well, it's been wonderful. Again, if you want to find out more about me and future shows, you can go to KimO'NeillCoaching.com. And as always, thank you for listening. It's been wonderful having you here, and I will talk to you again in the next show. Sometimes we wish we could practically do nothing and still feel better. Guess what? You kinda can. When you schedule a Reiki or guided meditation session, you can just be and receive and allow the energy to shift. There's relief. These energy sessions can be done alone or combined with a coaching session. Find out more at KimO'NeillCoaching.com and click on the Energy Work tab.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Yes! You did it! You got the job interview! Now all you need to do is prepare. You aren't sure how or what to say? Guess what? We can do this together then. One of my specialties is helping you to know how to present your best self for an employment interview. We'll practice, you'll feel confident. You got this. Visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com or call 562-273-2546.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.